guys, out in front of you, you need to have your notes from yesterday, and we need to have our purple sheets. I just heard I don't use that purple thing. Did I really just hear those words come out of your mouth? All right. All right. Right? All right, guys. Today we're going to focus on dividing, which really, if you were struggling with yesterday, it's really like a continuation of yesterday, okay? Because we're going to turn dividing into multiplying. That's okay. That's how you divide fractions. Okay, so on dividing, if you look at your steps, first step is to flip the second fraction and change to multiply. And then what's after that? Exactly what we did yesterday. Smoosh. Did you guys go home and say smoosh? Should have. It's fun to say. All right, guys. So like if I asked you, let's go back to basics, 4th grade. I know that's a struggle for some of you. So if we had like 18 over 10 divided by 9 over 35. And I ask you to divide those fractions. Yes. To divide fractions, you guys ever heard the phrase you multiply by the reciprocal? That should sound familiar to you. You keep the first one, 18 over 10. The division sign will flip to multiply, and then this fraction, the one right after the division sign, it flips over. It's 35 over 9, and now it's just like what we did yesterday. Now it's a multiplication problem. So, cross cancel. What would you simplify? 18 and 9. So 18 divided by 9. 9 divided by 9. 35 and 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5. 35 divided by 5. Anything else? Yep, this will become 1 and 1. So what's my answer? 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's just 7. Okay, so dividing fractions, we're literally going to turn it right back into multiplication like we did yesterday. Okay, like I told you guys yesterday, it's not that this section of dividing is hard, it's just I know we need more time with this before I move on to the next thing. Tomorrow we're going to move into adding and subtracting, which gets difficult because what do you have to have when you add and subtract fractions? Common denominators. So tomorrow's going to, the next 2 days, it's going to take a lot more work, okay, than today, yesterday and today. I have keep, change.
You keep it first. Change the sign and then you flip.
Wow. No, I just always learned to divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. It's not really a shortcut. You're doing the same thing I'm doing. Right. Yeah, I learned it by normal math terms. Whatever works for you. I just... Gotcha. All right, so here we go, guys. Number 1, it's division. So what's the first thing you do when you see a division problem? Flip it. Keep, change, flip, you crazy people. So the first one's going to stay the same. We're going to change the division sign. We'll flip to multiply. And then you flip that second fraction over. 20y to the 7th is now on top. 9x now on the bottom. And now we can practice exactly what we learned yesterday. Keep, change, flip. Interesting. Okay. So now that we got it set for what we did yesterday, what's your next step? Read that purple sheet. What's your next step? Factor. Anything up there factor? No, they're just one term, so they don't factor. What's your next step? What's your restrictions? X cannot equal 0. What about y? 0, yeah. X and y can either one be 0. Just because they're like baby brother out front. All right, so those are pretty easy restrictions. Then what? What's your next step? Cancel. Any top, any bottom, right? So what do you want to do? 3 and 9. 3 divided by 3. 9 divided by 3. Okay, now what? X, good. How many x's are left? This is where things start to get a little ugly. Watch your handwriting, but you don't lose things. 4, good. 8 divided by 4. 20 divided by 4. 5y. So that one's gone. This would be y to the second. Do you see how easy it is to lose things? I mean, even look at mine, and I'm writing really big. It's still hard, okay? So what do we have left? Let's smoosh it all together. What do you got on the top? Over 6. Good. 2 times 3 is just 6. And always do that last little check, guys. When you write it down at the end, make sure there's no common stuff still sitting there. Okay? Like if you did not cross cancel something, you should be at least like, oh yeah, those can be divided by 2 or 3 or whatever it is. Sometimes it is nice if you notice I keep switching colors. Just it's easier with your handwriting. Okay? Number 2, what type of problem is this? Division. So what's the first thing I do? Keep, change, flip. It's going to be in my head all day now. Would you guys be okay if I factor at the same time I rewrite? Not yet? Okay, not yet. So first one's going to stay the same. I'm going to take my division. I'm going to change it to multiply. And we're going to flip this one over. Hold on. They were not okay if I did it, so I'll rewrite it. The lazy mathematician in me, that just kills me. But I get it. We're early. All right, so change to multiply, flip it over. What's your next step? Factor. Let's factor everything that we can. So on the top, take out a 5x. So we're left with x plus 2. The bottom? X plus 2 and an x minus 3. You were there, you just couldn't get it out. Okay, top over here. X plus 3, x minus 3. And the bottom? 15x squared, x plus 3. Whew, that's a lot of factoring. Isn't that fun? Factoring is fun and fabulous and fantastic. All right, what's your next step? Restrictions. X cannot equal and 0. Good. We're starting to get the restrictions down. Understand how that works? You guys seem to be a lot better with that today. All right. Next step after restrictions. Cancel. Any top, any bottom. What you guys see? I see x minus 3. Okay. The 2's, x plus 2's. The x plus 3's. Good. Take the x. And divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 15 divided by 5. Holy smokes, I got a scribbled out mess. What on earth is left? 1 over 3x. Don't write 1/3 x, because that's something different. That means that implies the x is on top. 1 over 3x. Allie? Technically, it'd be like 2 zeros, but if I'm just telling you x cannot be 0, you can tell me twice if you want to, but just telling me once is sufficient. That one simplified nice, didn't it? That's kind of fun when it actually goes down to something small. I hate when you do all that factoring and you're like, I can't cancel anything. Then it's just kind of depressing. All right. Why don't you guys try number 3 on your own? All right, guys. So number 3. Are you okay if this one I factor and do everything at the same time? You guys with me? All right, so I know I'm going to have to change this and flip this one, but I'm going to kind of factor as I rewrite. So factoring here, That becomes x plus 4 and x plus 1. The bottom will become x plus 4 and x minus 3. Change to multiply, and we're going to flip this one over. So this difference of squares, my favorite, now is on the bottom. X plus 1, x minus 1. You better have factored my favorite ones. And then this one I can take out of 2x. So we're left with x minus 3. That should have been your flipping, changing, and your factoring all at once. You doing okay? How many of you actually did do all of that at once on your paper? I saw some of you did. Okay. If not, it's totally fine. Totally fine. So your next step is your restrictions. So x cannot equal -4, 3, and plus or minus 1. Your restrictions. Okay. Canceling. You can cancel the x plus 1. You can cancel an x minus 3. You can cancel the x plus 4s. So all we have left on top is a 2x, and on the bottom we have an x minus 1. Can I cancel these x's? No, this one is held with subtraction. It's helpful to put parentheses around it so you recognize it's a group. You can't take part of that. How do we do? Good? Read your purple paper. Read it. It's on there. All right, guys, we're going to kind of jump just a little bit. Let's take a look at number 5. Yeah, you know me. Jump just a little bit. Number 5. Yes. Just like yesterday, this starts out being over 1. Yeah, I skipped one. Yeah, we're not going to do all the examples on there. We're going to do more practice as a class today anyway, so. But this one, something kind of shows up that I want to make sure you're aware of. All right, so what are we going to do first? We're going to flip it. Change it, flip it, all that good stuff. All right, keep change, flip. All right, can I factor at the same time or no? You guys are comfortable? You're all right? So on the top, how does that top one factor? Good, x plus 2, or x minus 2, and x plus 1. What about the bottom? Good, take the 3 out. So x minus 1. Division is going to change to multiply. And I do need to flip that. So it's important that you put it over 1 to start with, because now where's the 1? Good. Now the 1's on top. How do you factor that? Take out a 7. So I have x squared minus 1. Anybody? Thank you. Thank you. Look, guys, you have difference of squares here now. X plus 1, x minus 1. So make sure when you're taking a GCF out, make sure it doesn't factor further, because sometimes it does. Okay, sometimes your factoring is kind of a two-part process there. All right, restrictions. X cannot equal, good, plus or minus 1. That's my only restrictions. Cancel. X plus 1s. Yeah, where's the x minus 1s? They're on the bottom. Yeah, it's a little deceiving because mine got pushed down a little bit. But yeah, bottom does not cancel. Yeah, so be very careful there. So on the top, what do we have? Just an x minus 2. And on the bottom, 21. And x minus 1 squared. Or x minus 1, x minus 1, if you're more comfortable seeing it written twice. Okay, so just be careful if it's not a fraction, put it over 1. That way you can actually still flip it. When you take out a GCF, look for it, and sometimes it factors further. Okay, well, let's do one more together as a group. Let's look at number 8. Oh my gosh, what did I just do to you? I have 3 of them. Notice your signs. One's division, one's multiply. Which ones flip? Just the middle one. Yep. Because you always flip the one that directly follows your division sign. Okay? So the first one, I'll go ahead and factor. Good. X plus 3 and x minus 4. over 8x squared. The division will flip to multiply, and that middle fraction is the one I'm going to flip over. Okay, it's always the one that directly follows the division sign. Okay, so when I flip that over, my top that's up here will now be my bottom. I could take out an x squared. Left with x plus 3. That's all right, you're flipping up. You're doing the other one. What would you take out of the other one? Good. Take out a 2x squared. Left with 4x minus 1. Do I flip the last fraction? No. It follows a multiply sign, so I don't flip that one. So x plus 2 over 4x minus 1. Hey, something without factoring in it. The whole last fraction didn't do much. Whew, what's your next step? Restrictions. So x cannot equal 0, 0, negative 3, 1/4. Okay, there's my restrictions. Whoo, canceling. This is going to be fun because look at all the pieces I have to try to cancel with. Any top, any bottom? X plus 3, okay. 4x plus 1. X squared. I see one more. 2 and 8. I can divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. What do you got on top? All over 4x squared. Riley? This one? Nope, doesn't matter. Because even if I canceled this one with this one, I'd still have it sitting here. So it would still fall down at my answer. So it doesn't matter. Just make sure you don't cancel both of them, though. How are we feeling? A little better than we did yesterday?